The story of Mama Florence and her 5 kids. Florence's house. In a lively neighborhood, in a small but busy home, lived a mother named Florence and her 5 children. Everyone in the area knew Mama Florence. She was strong, hardworking, and full of energy. But there was one thing people always remembered about her. Mama Florence had a voice that could wake up the entire neighborhood. Every morning in that house followed the same pattern. The sun would rise slowly over the rooftops. Birds would sing outside the windows, and the neighborhood would still be quiet and peaceful. But inside Mama Florence's home, the day would begin with movement, noise, and a lot of activity. Mama Florence believed that mornings were important. She believed that waking up early made people strong, responsible, and ready for the day. Her children, however, did not always share the same opinion. The oldest child was Samuel. As the firstborn, Samuel was expected to set a good example for the others. But, like many teenagers, Samuel loved to sleep. If he had the choice, he would stay under his blanket until the sun was high in the sky. Unfortunately for him, Mama Florence did not allow that to happen. Next came Kelsey, the second child. Kelsey had a different problem. He was always losing things. Socks disappeared, notebooks vanished, and sometimes even his own shoes seemed to hide from him. His room often looked like a place where a storm had passed through during the night. The third child was Sophia. Sophia was clever and quick with excuses. Whenever something disappeared from the kitchen, Sophia somehow had a story ready. Sometimes it was the wind. Sometimes it was hunger. Sometimes it was simply a mystery that no one could solve. Then there was Sonia, the fourth child. Sonia loved music. She believed every moment of life needed a soundtrack. Whether she was cleaning, getting dressed, or doing homework, there was always music playing somewhere nearby. Finally, there was little Kiana, the youngest of the family. Kiana was only 4 years old, but she had a very big imagination. To Kiana, the living room could become a castle. The couch could become a mountain, and a simple pillow could become a throne. One particular morning began like many others. The sunlight slowly entered the house, touching the walls and floors with warm golden light. Outside, neighbors were beginning their day. Some people were heading to work, while others were preparing breakfast for their families. Inside Mama Florence's house, however, the children were still sleeping peacefully. Mama Florence walked down the hallway, already awake and full of energy. She believed the morning was the most important part of the day, and she expected everyone else to believe the same thing. She moved from room to room, checking that everyone was awake and getting ready for the day. Samuel slowly climbed out of bed, still half asleep. Kelsey began searching for something he had already lost before breakfast. Sophia quietly slipped into the kitchen, hoping no one would notice she was looking for a snack. Sonia stretched and immediately started thinking about what music she wanted to listen to that morning. Meanwhile, little Kiana had already started building something in the living room. Using pillows, blankets, and cushions from the couch, she carefully constructed what she believed was the greatest castle ever built. Soon, the house was filled with the sounds of footsteps, doors opening, chairs moving, and the normal chaos of a busy family starting their day. Mama Florence moved through the house like a general, preparing her team for a big mission. She checked the kitchen, the living room, and every bedroom. She made sure everyone was getting ready, eating breakfast, and preparing for school. Despite the noise and the rushing around, there was something warm and joyful about the house. The children joked with each other, laughed, and sometimes argued over small things. But deep down, they knew that Mama Florence worked hard to keep everything running. Eventually, everyone gathered at the kitchen table for breakfast. The table was full of food, conversation, and the energy of 5 children who were slowly waking up. Samuel began to feel more awake. Kelsey had finally found one of his missing socks. Sophia looked proud of herself for finding the snack earlier. Sonia tapped her fingers on the table like she was still listening to music in her head. And Kiana happily explained her pillow castle to anyone who would listen. Mama Florence looked at all of them and smiled. It was a loud house. It was a busy house. It was sometimes a chaotic house, but it was also a happy house. Every morning might begin with noise, rushing, and a little bit of confusion. But by the time everyone sat together at the table, the house was filled with laughter and life. And in that neighborhood, everyone knew that when Mama Florence's house woke up, the whole street knew that a new day had truly begun. The house was already noisy, even before breakfast began. Samuel shuffled in from his room. Kelsey was searching for her missing sock. Sophia was eyeing the biggest piece of bread. And Sonia tapped a rhythm on the table. Little Kiana, of course, was building her pillow castle in the living room. Mama Florence's voice cut through the chaos like thunder. "Samuel, eat your breakfast before I lose my mind." Samuel jumped, grabbing his bread. "Kelsey, where is your sock? Go find it now." Kelsey darted around frantically. "Sophia, stop picking the biggest bread. Take one and sit properly." Sonia hummed quietly, and Mama Florence shouted again. "Sonia, stop that humming this instant." Even little Kiana froze. "Kiana, come here right now." Kiana ran to the kitchen, stuffed animal in hand. "I am the queen of my castle." Mama Florence stared. "Queen or not, you will eat your breakfast." Once everyone finished, the shouting didn't stop. "After you finish, you will clean this house. It looks like a storm hit it." Kiana ran back to the living room, proud of her castle. Pillows stacked high, blankets stretched across chairs, and stuffed animals guarding the towers. Mama Florence entered the room, hands on her hips. "Who built this mountain of pillows?" All the children froze. "Kiana built it," Samuel admitted. Kiana stood proudly. "It is my kingdom." Mama Florence shook her head. "In this house, even pillows worked too hard. Backpacks were grabbed. Socks were found." Sophia cleared the table. Sonia stopped humming, and the children lined up to leave. "Move faster. Do not make me shout again." One by one, they exited. Samuel first, Kelsey next, Sophia, Sonia, and finally, Kiana, with her stuffed animal. The house became quiet. Only the remains of Kiana's pillow castle remained. Mama Florence looked at it and shouted one last time, "Tomorrow, this castle is not coming back." Even as the shouting faded, Mama Florence knew one thing. In her house, every single day brought a new story, a new adventure, and tomorrow, she would definitely be shouting again. Mama Florence dropped off the kids at school. It was just her and Kiana at home. She slumped on the couch, wiping her forehead. "Kiana, the gym. Maybe later," she muttered, tired from shouting all morning. Kiana yawned, hugging her stuffed animal. For once, the house was quiet. But by the afternoon, the shouting would start once again when the kids arrived. Mama Florence's house was always loud, messy, and full of shouting. Pillows piled high, shoes scattered everywhere, and every room filled with energy. Even in quiet moments, you could feel the tension and the love coexisting. It was a house where nothing stayed still. Every day brought chaos. And Mama Florence's voice ruled over it all. The story of Mama Florence and her 5 kids. The end.